Cities didn't become modern because people got smarter. They became modern because they ran out of places to put waste. For centuries, big cities looked powerful. Underneath, they were fragile. Without sewers, they were waiting to collapse, and collapse would come through disease. Stay with me, because this isn't just pipes, it's survival and the system that saved millions. Imagine a city with no sewers, no treatment plants, no reliable drainage. Everyday waste has to go somewhere. If it doesn't leave the city, it stays in the city. And when it stays, it doesn't just smell bad. It turns the city into a disease machine. Early cities had solutions, but they didn't scale. People used cesspits, chamber pots, and dumping. Some places had primitive drains. Most systems were local and inconsistent. Growth overwhelmed them. Now add one simple fact. Cities concentrate everything. People, animals, markets, and water use. And when you concentrate life, you concentrate waste. That's the hidden math of urban collapse. More density means more waste pressure. Waste becomes a logistics problem. How do you move tons of filth every day? You can't solve that with individual effort. You need infrastructure, coordination, and a system. And without that system, the city starts poisoning itself, slowly at first, then fast. For a long time, cities tried to ignore the problem. They relied on rain and luck. They used open ditches and informal collectors. They pushed the mess out of sight. But as cities grew, the old methods failed, not slowly, suddenly. Here's what failure looks like. Streets turn into sludge. Wells get contaminated. Rivers become open sewers. And once drinking water is polluted, disease stops being random. It becomes inevitable. Now we have to talk about the enemy that forced sewers into existence. Epidemics. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, repeating waves that hit cities again and again. When outbreaks kept returning, leaders realized something. This wasn't bad luck. It was a system problem. At first, many cities believed the wrong explanation, the bad air theory. They blamed smells, miasma, and foul neighborhoods, so they focused on surface cleaning. But even surface cleaning creates pressure. Once you wash streets, you need dirty water to go somewhere. Then data changed the debate, records improved, and cities tracked deaths. They mapped outbreaks. They compared neighborhoods. Patterns appeared. Disease clustered around contaminated water and poor sanitation. Measurement turned panic into policy. Here's the key point. Sewers weren't built because engineers loved tunnels. They were built because cities needed to keep functioning, factories needed workers, and ports needed stability. A sick city is a weak city, so sanitation became a survival strategy. But building sewers wasn't simple. It was expensive, disruptive, and political. You have to dig up streets. You have to lay pipes with slope and flow. You have to connect homes, and then you have to decide who pays. That fight alone delayed sewer systems for decades. Everyone wanted clean streets. Nobody wanted the bill. But once a city commits, it changes how leaders think. The city becomes a managed organism. Water in, waste out, stormwater drained. A city becomes a machine with flows. And sewers aren't isolated. They pull other infrastructure into place. Water mains, pumping stations, filtration, and eventually treatment plants. Sewers become the backbone. Then layers get added over time. Now let's break down how sewers prevent collapse. First, they separate people from waste. That sounds obvious, but it's everything. If waste stays near homes, pathogens spread easily. If waste is removed quickly, outbreaks lose fuel. Disease has less to feed on. Second, sewers protect drinking water. Many old cities drank from rivers and shallow wells. Those sources were easily contaminated. Sewers reduce the chance waste enters the same water people drink. That is a massive survival upgrade. It changes life expectancy. Third, sewers make density possible. Old methods collapse past a certain population. Pits overflow, dumping spreads, and contamination becomes constant. Sewers raise the population ceiling. They allow cities to grow without turning into permanent plague zones. But there's a catch. Early sewer systems sometimes made things worse at first. They dumped waste into rivers downstream. They pushed pollution out of sight, not out of existence. So treatment became the next upgrade. Systems evolve in layers, one problem at a time. Now here's the hidden power of sewers. They change governance. To build sewers, a city needs taxation, planning, and enforcement. That expands state capacity. You collect money, regulate connections, and coordinate neighborhoods. Government becomes more present in daily life. Sewers also change inequality. When only rich areas get sanitation, disease still spreads. Outbreaks don't respect class lines forever, so public sanitation becomes a shared interest. Helping the poorest neighborhoods ends up protecting everyone. That's rare, and it matters. That's why sewers became a turning point. They weren't glamorous, and they didn't create monuments. But they quietly added decades to life expectancy. They reduced child deaths and stabilized cities. They made urban life modern, not by beauty, but by survivability. So when people ask, why did cities need sewers? The answer is simple. Without a waste system, density becomes poison. A city can grow, but only up to a point. Then, disease, contamination, and dysfunction push back. Eventually, the city builds the system, or it declines. Now look at any modern city. You see skylines, roads, and towers. But the real miracle is below your feet. Pipes, tunnels, pumps, and treatment plants. That hidden infrastructure makes urban life possible. It's the system that lets the city exist. So next time you walk through a city, remember this: modern civilization isn't only ideas above ground. It's sanitation and engineering below ground. Sewers didn't just make cities cleaner, they made cities survive.